In 2022, Marlon Chito Vera was on top of the world, riding a 4-fight win streak against the likes of Dominick Cruz, Frankie Edgar, and Rob Font, brutally knocking out 2 of them and turning one of them into a zombie. So what happened? How did one of the most devastating strikers in the Bantamweight division go from title challenger to losing 4 straight fights and getting dropped from the rankings? Did Chito Vera fall off overnight, or did the sport simply just figure him out? Throughout Chito's career, he has primarily been known as a slow starter, often giving first rounds to his opponents, and that's a major issue. Earlier in Chito's career, it worked pretty good. He would usually have to work his way back into fights, but it often led to Chito finding massive shots that changed the entire momentum of his fights. Here's the main issue. That won't work forever. The main difference between a slow starter like Chito Vera and another notorious slow starter in Petr Yan is this. Yan gathers information while staying defensively responsible. He blocks his shots behind a high guard before ramping up the pressure and really beating his opponents up. Compare that to Chito, who was more willing to actually eat shots with a low output and pray that he finds a massive shot later in the fight. This worked when he fought the likes of Frankie Edgar, where he staged a 3rd-round knockout in a needlessly close fight against the aging legend. Also in a fight against Rob Font, Font seemed well on his way to win most of the rounds, but Chito would eventually find the mark, giving him the lead, despite Font actively doubling Chito's output in almost every round. Even in the fight against Dominick Cruz, who was aging and injury-ridden, Cruz was up on the scorecards, outlanding Chito in every round before the penultimate shot that ended the fight. I know hindsight is 20/20, but looking at it now, it's pretty easy to see exactly why Chito has fallen off, given his style. But it begs the question, why did it stop working? It's pretty simple. He's facing If you've been watching the sport the last 10 years, you've likely noticed a pattern. The most elite fighters have exceptional footwork, and that is just not something that Chito excels in. In fact, I'd say footwork is one of the biggest reasons why Chito can't seem to land those big shots anymore. And look at the fight against Rob Font. Rob Font stood right in front of Chito, trying to put the pressure on him, trying to put a pace on him, and ended up getting caught so many times. And look at the fight against Dominick Cruz. Dominick Cruz, known for his fantastic footwork, but that was literally his retirement fight. Wasn't the same Dominick Cruz as he was in his prime. A lot slower, a lot less athleticism, and that led to Chito finding that shot. In the fight against Frankie Edgar was 40 years old. Chito Vera was still not convincingly winning the fight. I think it was like 1-1 going into the 3rd. The athleticism for Frankie's gone. The footwork isn't quite as good. We might need to have a separate conversation about Chito Vera knocking out all the old guys. Keep him away from any retirement homes. And up to this point in Chito's UFC career, it worked out for him pretty well. Brutal finishes, ranked wins, on the cusp of a title shot. All was going quite well for Chito Vera. Until he was booked against Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen being one of the taller fighters of the division, fantastic footwork, blends the wrestling and the striking extremely well, not to mention the constant feints, which would throw someone like Chito off of his momentum and not even let him get in the fight in the first place. And it did. Corey Sandhagen dominated every round, which led to him winning a split decision. How the hell was that a split decision? Anyways, Chito's streak is broken, and who does the UFC give Chito next? Pedro Munoz, another aging, slower bantamweight. Chito took the decision against Pedro, piecing him up, which was expected for the matchup, and who does he get next? A title shot against Sean O'Malley. At the time, a very undeserving title shot against a man he beat years prior. In 2020, Chito kicked Sean behind the knee, immediately shutting down the nerve from the calf down, and from there Sean was a sitting duck. Definitely a clean win, but replicable? Likely not. Sean ended up beating the absolute dog shit out of Chito, dancing on him at times, turning Chito's best assets, namely the chin and the resilience, against him, brutally mangling his face and landing on Chito at will. In round 2, Sean landed the now infamous knee on Chito, which sounded like a nuke went off in the arena. For the first time in Chito's UFC career, he was visibly hurt and on the back foot. Sean won every round convincingly, sending Chito back down the rankings and kicking off his current 4-fight losing streak. And that takes us to today. In succession, Chito has dropped losses to Sean O'Malley, Davison Figueiredo, Eamon Zahabi, and David Martinez, who have all used his slow starting tendencies to get ahead on the scorecards early and use footwork late to avoid fight-ending blows, leading to immense frustration within Chito, especially thinking that he's actually winning these fights just because he doesn't feel like he's getting hurt, but he's just not doing enough. In September, Chito has another fight booked against Charles Jourdain. I've actually been a fan of Charles because he's a pretty crafty guy on the feet and always brings the fight. He's actually on a 3-fight win streak himself, so it's going to be another formidable opponent for Chito Vera. But the real question is anything going to change? Will Chito step on the gas early, increase his output, and be all around more active? Probably not. And if you want my honest opinion, I think Chito Vera might need to switch gyms. Not saying his current coach, Jason Perillo, isn't good, but I think maybe Chito just needs a different change of pace. Maybe a bigger gym like ATT or something like that. In all reality, though, I think we're going to see the same Chito Vera that we've been seeing. Likely going to give up the first round, low output, and Charles is probably going to take the first couple rounds, maybe all 3 the way Chito's been looking recently. We're probably going to see an upset Chito Vera at the end of the fight. He's going to storm out of the octagon and go on a Twitter rant later about how he was robbed, how the judges got it wrong for like the 6th time in a row. And that's the thing that sucks too, especially if you're a Chito fan. 33 for a bantamweight isn't too bad, but it is approaching the end of your athletic prime for sure. At the higher weight classes, definitely not, but for 135, he's getting up there. And truthfully, I feel like he's just going to waste all of his athleticism, because when Chito gets going, he really gets going. Really crafty on the feet, granite chin, punches and kicks really hard, especially those wonky kicks he throws. I think they're pretty cool. He just doesn't do enough. Chito Vera didn't suddenly become a bad fighter. The sport simply just evolved around him. The patience, the durability, and the knockout power that once made him one of the most dangerous contenders in the bantamweight division have now become liabilities against a new generation. They just don't give him the openings that he used to rely on. In a division where movement, volume, and footwork are king, waiting for the perfect shot just isn't enough anymore. And I don't mean to take away from what Chito has accomplished. He fought anyone the UFC put in front of him, built one of the best knockout highlight reels in bantamweight history, and earned himself a title shot. That's something a lot of fighters will never achieve. But anyways, man, this video took me a lot longer to edit than I thought. I know it's short, but this is my first time editing a video. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. Drop a like, comment, all that stuff. I'll probably try to do more of these in the future. Hopefully longer and hopefully a little bit better. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Chito.